Well, good evening, everyone. This is yet another episode of ASCCA with the most important topics, such as government affairs, new Bureau of Automotive regulations, and other items that are going to be touched tonight. Although, before we start that, I would like to welcome everyone. My name is Rocky Kamenian. I'm a past president, um, and I have past whatever. But anyway, we are also encouraging every member of this association to be looking for new membership, new members to come and join us. The numbers are extremely important for us. The bigger we are, the more membership we have, the more power we have. Power is in the numbers, and it's crucial for each member to enroll and sign up new members into this association. There's also a $125 rebate for people that are doing that, and for the completion of the 1 year membership. And also, I would definitely encourage that everyone would pay a lot of attention to that. Like I said, power is in the numbers, and we need to get our numbers up on the membership. Um, the other news is that the September 12th and 14th, up in San Jose area, if I'm not mistaken, close to Mr. Kusa over there, President Kusa's location. We're going to have an annual training conference. You better be signed up to that. It's in Embassy Suites by Hilton, as you can see on the screen. Being there is very important. Do we have exhibitors that are going to be there, and also the education part is uh, dynamite. It's fantastic. You won't find it anywhere else, and the price is just crazy. Crazy low. So sign up for that. Um, I think that's all we had, right? And as far as my announcement is concerned, do you have anything else that you want me to add?
No, just
Okay.
that's it.
With that said, if David Kusa and Jack Maladonov are ready, we can start the meeting. And
Ready,
here's Dave.
Freddie. Thanks, Rocky. So, good evening, everybody. Thanks for being part of this webinar. We are recording this, so you can access it later. Or if someone says, "Hey, is that meeting recorded? I couldn't make it." Yeah, we'll have it out there in the near future once the editing takes place. So, I'm Dave Kusa. I have the honor of currently serving as president of our association, as well as the chair of our government affairs committee. Jack Maladonov is with us tonight. He is our representative in Sacramento, lobbying the state legislature, working with BAR. Jack and I both attend the Bureau of Automotive Repair Advisory Group meetings quarterly, which these types of regulations that the BAR is going to do get introduced, and we get a chance to have our input from our industry. There's a 20-ish people on the advisory group that are all stakeholders in the industry. So BAR works with us to develop these regulations that, their mission is to protect consumers, but they also understand that working with industry makes sense because we want to protect consumers as well, and be able to conform and work with these regulations. So with that being said, let me share my screen here. We're going to talk about automotive repair dealer teardown, disclosure, and tow requirements. Oh, one thing before because I'll forget later. I did want to mention that one of the I think most important benefits that ASCCA members have, and I'm not sure how many non-members may be on this meeting, but this is super important, One of the benefits of being a member of ASCCA is you have access to Jack Maladonna for 30 minutes a month at no cost to you. It's part of your membership. Jack is a fantastic resource. Subject matter, he's a lawyer, but subject matter expert specifically in the Automotive Repair Act, Bureau of Automotive Repair regulations, smog check program, the new vehicle safety inspection program, as well as other aspects of the law. If you need help with something in your shop, no matter what it is, give Jack a call. For legal questions outside of your shop, personal life, give Jack a call. He is not a subject matter expert in everything, but if he doesn't know, he knows somebody who does, and it can certainly offer some first step guidance. So one of our most underutilized benefits of our association. So would highly recommend taking advantage of that. You have an employment question, a BAR question, a lease question on your building, whatever it might be. You're thinking about buying a new car, lease a new car, you don't understand the lease, don't send Jack the lease, but have a specific question, right? It's a half hour. So anyway, yeah, he gets lots of good questions. But anyway, I just want to let that out there. Yes, Rocky.
Yeah, before you start, can I ask everyone to, if a question pops out, you can go ahead and write it down on the message, and
Oh, in the
so
chat.
we
Yes,
can,
yeah,
yeah,
in the chat.
so we can on the chat, so we can go ahead and thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Rocky. Yeah, a lot of you are going to have the same question. So yeah, go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll go through our presentation, circle back, look at the chat. Rocky's going to control that. And there's a lot of us on the call, so it's easier to write them down rather than have everybody ask their question individually. So we may ask you to come on board and be vocally ask your question, but write them down for now. All right, so under these new regulations, and here's Zoom causing me trouble. So these are the new guidelines, new regulations, ARDs. We are all ARDs. We need to adhere to these regulations. So new disclosure requirements overview. We're going to talk a little bit about the description of what a teardown is and disassembly, additional information on estimates, third-party payer type stuff. We're going to look at how we have to inform the customer with third-party things, and then some new interesting things about towing vehicles to our shops. So first up is our teardown estimate. So the new regulations surrounding teardown estimates are pretty much aimed at the body shops for more clarity in what they do. Jack is going to chime in wherever I miss something here too. So so as far as the engines, transmissions, nothing really changes for us, but the body shops have to clearly describe the area they're working on. In this example, right front side of vehicle. Otherwise, everything pretty much remains the same. So, and then this estimate and invoice clarity isn't really new, but Barr really stressed this, that when you write an estimate for a customer, your information on the estimate invoices needs to be technically clear, right? So no industry specific terms, no acronyms, things like that, right? Because the customer doesn't know what a TPS is, the customer doesn't know what an ECM is or a PCM or anything like that, right? So no acronyms, and then the technical terms need to be explained, or just explain it in layman terms that everybody can understand. I use the example of when you're writing your invoices and your estimates. If you took your paperwork and you put it in front of my mom, who is very smart but knows nothing about cars, she needs to understand it, because you're going to put a pencil line through mom and Dave's mom and put in BAR or judge, right? So as long as your mom or your dad or your sister or brother or husband, wife or spouse can understand it, then it's going to be okay, right? So make sure we do that. And that, again, not really a change in anything, but came up in conversation a lot in the last few meetings surrounding these regulations. So
okay, Dave,
go ahead,
before
Jack.
you go back to the last screen, so the tear down estimate, and you highlighted it. The only thing that changed impacts collision repair. You have to describe the area. Question comes up, why did they change this? What happened? Well, there was an issue with a particular shop that disassembled it was a body shop, disassembled the entire vehicle. And the BR said, we can't do that. We want you to describe the portion, which section, if it's the rear or the left. So that's the reasoning for it. Again, it didn't change anything if you do teardowns for transmissions or engines or disassembly, but for auto body, it does change. You got to be a little bit more specific on the area. And yeah, just to highlight the estimate and invoice clarity, you're right. You got to be able to write it down so a sixth grader or seventh grader can understand. And you highlighted some of the, what customer doesn't know what R&R means. I mean, to me, it means rest and relaxation, right? So, I mean, if you're going to use acronyms and we discourage them, you need to have a legend somewhere, right? Describing if you use something, if you have a legend, that's acceptable with BAR. But if it's just an acronym, that is technically a non-compliance with the Automotive Repair Act. Okay, Dave, go ahead.
Thanks, Jack. Yep. Thank you. This isn't new information, but I thought it would be important to review the best practices on what a teardown is, because the highest area of complaints that BAR receives comes around engine repair. So and I don't think that almost all shops are trying to be disingenuous on this, but it ends up being that way, and the customer doesn't understand. So what this means is if you have a vehicle that comes into the shop, there's an issue. You have discovered that you need to, let's say there's a noise under the valve cover, because transmission engine is where this all really applies. So you've got a ticking noise under the valve cover. You've identified it's there, it's bad, it's a problem. Next steps is we need to remove the valve cover to continue the diagnostic testing inspection process to isolate the source of this noise. So what the estimate for that needs to be is we're going to take off the valve cover. We're going to continue to diagnose, test, inspect to determine the source of the noise. We are going to discover what that is. We're going to create an estimate, present that to the customer to make the repairs. Now, if the customer says yes, we're golden. If the customer says, no, I don't want to do that, I'm going to come and get my car. Well, now we need to put it back together, right? They drove it in. It's reasonable to assume they could drive it out. So what our teardown estimate needs to be is take it all apart, determine the failure, put it all back together with any consumable parts, gasket, seals, fluids, so on and so forth, needed to reassemble, and deliver that back to the customer, right? So that's the estimate. Now, if we take it apart and discover the problem and they say, yes, please fix my car, well, we can certainly adjust that estimate down. Nobody ever complains when they pay less, right? But if we say, oh, well, I had to put your car back together and I have to charge you X amount of money, well, they're going to be unhappy with that, right? Because they didn't know. So the more information we can get to the customer, the more full disclosure we have, the better. Specifically on teardowns, if we have to sublet something in that process, we must notify the customer and obviously get authorization. If the customer says, no, I'm going to come get it, we have to say, okay, you will be done in 5 days, right? It's reasonable to say that I hadn't planned on putting it back together. I don't have time to put it back together today, tomorrow, the next day, but I can't take a year to put it back together, right? So we have to give them a reasonable expectation in number of days when it'd be reassembled for pickup. And we definitely want to have some sort of disclaimer on the invoice that lets everybody know that, hey, we may not be able to put this car back together into its delivered state because we took the cover off the differential. I know you drove the car in. We took the cover off the differential and the spider gears fell out. I can't put it back together, right? So it may not be able to be put back together all the way to pre-delivery status, or it might be not as good, right? That in our teardown process, we had to break something, right? Destroy something. Something doesn't work right. So let them know that, hey, we're going to put it back. We're going to take it apart. we may find something that you don't want to fix and we can't put it back together, or it may not work as you expect, right? So need to protect ourselves. And the reason I say that is this is the biggest source of complaints that BAR gets is on these types of things where the unknown. And nobody has a crystal ball. BAR gets that. Just close it, make sure everybody understands, everybody's aware of what's going on. Did I hit that okay, Jack?
You did, you covered it. And so there's the tear down estimates, I don't think, or disassemble estimates, I don't think a lot of mechanical shops take advantage of them. And BR does encourage you to disassemble, especially if you think it's something internal with an engine or transmission. So then once you open it up, you can give a good estimate of what it's going to really cost, right? You're going to diagnose it. So the estimate, there are really two estimates here, right? A tear down estimate is essentially telling the customer, listen, I'm going to tear it down, disassemble. Yeah, I can put it back, or no, you can't put it back. If you can't put it back, and you're going to put it back within a reasonable amount of time, 3 days, 5 days, and you charge for that. You charge for the disassembly. It's like I'll throw out a number, hypothetical, $1,500, right? For the transit, you're going to take it out, pull it out, and then you're going to tell the customer it's going to take $5,000 to rebuild. Okay. And the customer says, no, I can't afford that. Put it back together. They still owe you the $1,500, right? Because you got the teardown as you got authorization for that. You put it back if that's what you agree to. Or if you can't put it back, you say, hey, I'm going to put it back in a box, right? Or whatever. I can't. And that's fine. That's a teardown, what we call a teardown estimate. Most shops will just provide an estimate, right? And then revise the estimate. In other words, I'll fix your engine, and they get in there, I got to revise it. It's going to be fourth, and then it keeps on going up. So you may have 3 or 4 revisions because you don't know what's wrong with it because you keep on digging into it. So that's why the BR encourages teardown estimates. So that's the difference. And again, no changes if you've been doing them, not to worry unless you're collision repair.
Cool. Thanks, Jack.
Okay.
All right. So next up here, this was again more aimed at the body shop because dealing with insurers, right? Now in our world, yes, some of us deal with I'll call it normal insurance, be it Farmer, State Farm, so on and so forth. And then of course we work with extended service contracts, right? Maybe we call them car warranties, but they're still insurance, right? So extended service contracts, right? So if and this is just a good practice, right? So if we're going to deal with an extended service contract is going to pay for all or some, because I don't know what everybody's seeing, but I am getting a lot of service contracts that are like, yeah, no, we're not paying all what you want, Dave. And so we always have the conversation with the customer going in that, we're going to provide an estimate for what we need to get paid. Your insurance may not pay all of that. Whatever they don't pay falls to you, right? So if there is a difference in that, the third party payer says, my estimate's $2,000 and they're going to pay $1,800 and the customer has to pay $200. We need to make sure that's on the invoice, that who's paying how much of what, right? And if we know that, we're going to note that. If for some reason it's unknown, then you must include this disclosure that's listed here. The estimate for, you can read it, right? And this is verbatim for BAR, right? You don't get to change this or make this up. This disclosure must be on your invoice. So if somewhere along the line you don't know, or there's not an understanding of how much the third party payer is paying, it's up to the customer to determine that, and we have to let them know and tell them that they need to contact their payer for that. And Jack's recommendation on this is just put this on every invoice you have, right? And then the good news that way is you never forget, right? If you don't need it, so what? If you do need it, it's there. You'll never forget. Again, not a super big deal for us, but we are ARDs, we must comply. So, this best practice is to include this disclaimer. You can add to it, but don't take away or change, right? This verbatim must be there if you're putting it in there, and put it in everything, right? Put it in your invoice that it's there and it's got to be not at the bottom in the where nobody ever reads stuff, right? It needs to be where people can see it. And if this is something that is going to become part of the process, I would recommend having the customer verbally say they understand and, initial it in some fashion or acknowledge in an email or a text that they understand this disclaimer so that, so you're protected.
So let me just jump in and
Jack,
say,
1 second, I'm sorry. And is it possible to put that comment or this estimate is repairs to meet vehicle manufacturer?
I can't copy it and paste it, but I can do a quick type of it, so. yeah,
Okay,
I got
as
it.
long as it's accurate. Thank you. Sorry, Jack, go ahead.
yeah, let me just say, maybe the first question is why did the BAR change its law? Well, the BAR received complaints against shops from consumers because they were picking up their car, and of course it dealt with insurance or car warranty, and they had the 5 o'clock surprise. What? I thought my insurance company was going to pay for this, and they had to pay the difference, and they were upset. Complaints came about. So BAR said, basically, in this law, if you know how much what you got approved by the insurance company, you got to disclose, you got to put it down on your estimate. And even though the customer may know this, right, then they should know it. They should know it, right? Because they have the relationship with the insurance company or the car warranty company, right? So you're just reiterating what everyone should know already. Now, most of the time you may not know, right? Because revisions happen, changes happen. That's why the second statement, or at least that disclaimer or that statement, is so important. So to put on every one of your estimates, okay? So if one of the big takeaways tonight, if you're paying attention, is tomorrow you're going to put that statement, at least that's the minimum, that statement in all your estimates. Now it may not apply, like you may not do car warranty work, but if it does, you may have a little line, next to it, and have the customer initial it. That way you won't forget. 6 months from now, you may end up having a car warranty issue or insurance company paying for this. This statement protects the ARD. It protects you because it shifts the burden right back to the consumer. So when the customer comes in, well, I didn't know. Well, you surprised me. Well, no, here it is. You initialed it, right? It's your responsibility. You as a shop don't have a contractual relationship with the insurance company, right? It's the customer that has that. So this protects you. Like I said, the big takeaway here is to put this on every estimate you have. Again, it may not apply, but when it does, have them initial it. It'll protect you.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay.
So some more best practices stuff here for a third party payer, right? So, and this is directly from BAR, right? So and again, we generally in the mechanical side, we're making our own estimates and submitting them to extended service contracts, right? Now, could the extended service contract create an estimate for us? Probably, right? I mean, they do try and tell us what we have to charge. So now this more falls into the collision side of things, where some shops will submit information, the insurance company creates the estimate, sends it back, and they actually use that estimate, right? So you can do that. We and BAR highly discourage that, but it is legal, right? So you could do it. So if you choose to do it, here's what you must do, right? I'm not going to read every one of these bullet points because I don't want you to do this, so it won't matter. Create your own estimates, right? So don't do this. But this was another big part of the presentation. So we do have rules and regulations that we must comply with as ARDs if you're going to let a third-party payer set up an estimate, create an estimate for repairs for you. This will be in the recording. Go back, look at it. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but it'll be there, right? So
let me
you go ahead, Jack.
So what was going on here is that you have some shops, and I'm really surprised that, in my opinion, get lazy and they don't even want to do their own diagnosis or their own estimate. So what do? The insurance company estimate, and let's face it, sometimes this insurance company estimate is not really an estimate. It's kind of if it's an auto body, it's sort of like a visual assessment, right? It doesn't cover everything. And some of these shops, all they were doing is taking their estimate and say, oh, see attached, and attaching it. Well, we have highly recommended over the years, don't do that. You are the professional. You're the one doing the diagnosis. The example I can give is that, you go to a doctor's office, right? And you talk to the doctor and you say, doctor, check me out. Oh no, I want, whatever the insurance company says, their assessment, I'm going to agree with them. You're going to say, you're crazy. I came to you. You're the profession. You're the doctor. And in this case, you are the doctor. If you do your own estimate, you just can ignore this. Okay. And I highly recommend that you always do your own estimate. Do not rely on a third party estimate. Do your own. Don't be lazy and just see attached and all that. That's how you get in trouble. And that's how shops have gotten in trouble, because once you start doing that and you start revising things, then you're into insurance fraud and that sort of thing. So you don't need to worry about this if you're doing your own estimates. So that's the takeaway here. Doing your own estimates, you can forget about this. You're nothing to worry about.
Thank you, Jack.
Hey,
Go ahead,
Dave.
Rocky.
If anybody wants a copy of this presentation, please leave your email at the chat, and then Anne is going to go ahead and collect them and then send the latest version of it. Thank you.
Yeah, we're recording it. We can send it. If you want the slide deck, I can send the slide deck too. That's no big deal. I should say that the reason it says BAR in the corner is a lot of this information was what was presented at the last advisory group meeting. I just wanted to make sure that those that created it were credited. I don't think BAR cares, but I'm gonna listen to Jack and cover my ass.
But they may care. I don't know. Use
I don't know. I'm not gonna ask.
Yeah, but we're not going to worry about it now. What?
Yeah,
What
right?
logo? I didn't see it.
Forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah, right.
All right. So this one was where a lot of contention came up, is surrounding some towing a car to your shop. So this one kind of it snuck in, is not the best description, but it was part of a much larger regulation package surrounding storage fees that will be coming up later. We will have another webinar that's going to surround that, and that's going to be just so much fun. But in the process of reviewing the regulations, BAR pulled this portion out and created a separate regulation for towing to shops. Apparently recently, that was a surprise to everybody. Regulations, laws were changed in the motor vehicle code, DMV and that kind of thing, that there is a statement contained that towing invoices must be on a separate document. We and the advisory group had a different interpretation than BAR had. So there was a lot of back and forth conversation, both with advisory group members and members of the public. And BAR is re-examining this to see if perhaps it needs to be changed, polished, disappear, whatever that might be. But at this moment in time, it is regulation. So the best practice is to comply. So if you provide or pay for a tow to your shop for a customer that you're going to bill the customer for, and this is the initial tow to the shop before there's any estimate created, paperwork signed, anything like that, and the customer is going to pay for it, you need to invoice the customer on a separate document from anything that has to do with the repair side. Now, what our recommendation is you're going to do this in your point of sale system. So it's like, hey, Dave, Rocky says, Dave, my car broke down. Can I have it towed in? Yeah, Rocky, I'm sending my tow truck. It's going to be $150. Rocky says, great. The car gets towed in. I create an invoice in my point of sale that says, tow Rocky's car to my shop, $150. And I'm going to show the authorization that he approved this. So, and that needs to be one and only on its own, right? Now the car is at my shop. I'm going to create an estimate for repairs. That is a completely separate document. There's no tow on the repair, the estimate repair order / invoice document, right? It's just completely separate. So when the car is all finished and everything's all said and done, I'm going to say, Rocky, here's your invoice for 150. Here's your invoice for 42,000 because I'm very expensive and Rocky's very rich. And he's going to say, great, I'm going to write you a check for both of those at the same time. So
just want to clarify, Dave, Just, did you guys hear that? 2 different invoices. The towing has to be completely separate to the estimate. Thank you.
And this is a big deal, right? It is currently regulation. BAR absolutely could do whatever BAR wants to do if you don't conform to this regulation. They are reviewing it. It's probably in stasis, but I am not guaranteeing that. Jack is not guaranteeing that. So this is current regulation and law. We must do this. Now, with that being said, Rocky's car has a lot of work done to it, and I need to get calibration for all the ADAS systems. So I'm going to tow it to my buddy that does this for me. So now I have a sublet for calibration and tow. That has to be on the repair invoice, properly documented, properly authorized, so on and so forth, right? Just like we already do, right? So the only thing on the tow side that has to be a separate document is the initial tow to the shop before we start any sort of repair process. So now, best practice on this is, do it as if you were conforming. So do it and conform to Automotive Repair Act regulations, right? Get it authorized, make sure all the information is there, the mileage is there, everything that needs to be there, right? BAR's attitude on this is that we don't care. You can write it on a napkin. It says tow to shop, $150. Rocky said cool, and they are not going to worry about that. They don't care. They don't want to see it. They don't want to hear about it. Other than that, they care. So if it's a sublet, make sure it's proper and make sure it's documented. Make sure it's on your repair estimate or invoice so that it's all there. So yeah, and this went on and on and on for 2 hours. So I know you think it's silly. I think it's silly. Jack thinks it's silly, but it is what it is right now. Ideally, they're going to fix it or polish it up or something, but they don't have to, right? So this is effective July 1st. So it's effective today. All of this stuff that we're presenting is effective July 1st. Anything else on that I missed on that, Jack?
Well, you covered it, and
Yeah.
let me just say, the first question is, why? What are
Right.
you doing here? Because for the last, umpteen years, right? You have someone call you and say, yeah, I'll get it towed. You contract to have someone get it towed. And what would you do? You just put it on the invoice, right? You just put it on the invoice. Your estimate, and you get it on your invoice. One document essentially, right? Now they want to do 2 documents. And the reason for this, right? The reason is, well, the Automotive Repair Act, what we oversee, doesn't encompass towing. That's separate. We don't have any jurisdiction over towing. So that's their rationale. But when you really think about it, they did a regulation and they are kind of now or regulating, because they're saying you can't put it on your repair estimate. You no longer can do that. So now, again, the rationale, like I said, I hear what they're saying. They thought they were helping here, by the way. They said publicly, we think we're helping you guys because now you don't have to worry about it. But you just said these guys have been doing it for all these years. Now we have to create 2 sets of documents, 2 standalone documents. So if you're averaging repair orders like some companies do or some businesses, guess what? It's going to drop now because you got 2 separate 2 separate repair orders. That's what you essentially have here. So this applies when you contract, right? So a customer calls you, doesn't have AAA, and hey, can you help me out? Yeah, we know a friendly, tow truck. We'll have them come and pick it up for you and bring it to the shop. Then it applies, right? Because you're going to charge them for it and so forth. If the customer is paying for this and saying, hey, I got AAA and I'm going to drop it off, well, then it doesn't apply because you're not paying for anything, right? The customer brought it in. No, it doesn't apply there. But when you contract, bring it in and you're charging, they're saying a separate document. And most of the POS systems are set up. They're not set up that way. If you can set up your system where you have a separate invoice, you can do that. But as long as it's a separate document, it's not, that's fine. It just cannot be included in the repair estimate. And again, as Dave said, we have raised concerns about that frankly, I'd like to go back to the way we've been doing business for the last 40, 50 years, but that's not the law. The law now is two separate documents. Big takeaway here tonight, right? So you're gonna, just changing the way you do business on if you're doing, having cars towed in now. So yeah, that's a big change to what's going on currently. So that started July 1st. We'll see how they're going to enforce this. But that is a big takeaway tonight.
No, I know.
Hey, Jack.
I clicked the button. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Hey, Jack, can the tow charges be marked up?
Absolutely.
You can, of course, you can mark it up. You just tell the customer it's going to be whatever you want to charge them, right? We're going to charge you $200 and we'll have it towed here. Not a problem. You get the authorization. That hasn't changed. You can always mark up. You just give them a number. You don't have to tell. You just give them a number what you're charging. But the takeaway is two separate documents, right? Two separate repair orders here, and that's a big change. That is a big change, and I can tell you, most of the industry doesn't even know that this exists now, right? Or this new law passed. And again, very controversial, no doubt about it. I don't know if it's going to change. I know the BR is looking at this again, revisiting it. We've told them frankly, I think they should go back and just delete it, change them, and go back to the old days before July 1st. But I don't know if they're going to do that. Currently, you got to do two documents.
For the people that are participating, don't worry about the questions that you have on the chat. If we don't address them tonight, we will email you, or we actually will put a group chat together and email and put up all the questions and answer it. So you guys are all going to be in it. Make sure you put your email address up, please. Thank you.
All right, so that's the end of the presentation. So now it's time for those questions. So you want to go through those questions, Rocky?
Okay, great. So what if the client doesn't want to pay for reassembly? What happens then?
That's cool. Yeah, if they're like, oh no, I'm just put it in a box, come get it. Say, okay, great. I only need to charge you, 40% or 80% of what we talked about, right? Just the disassembly side. That perfectly fine. But yeah, it's just the important thing is to make sure you're covered to reassemble it if they decline to go any further. Yeah, nobody's going to complain if it costs less. Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you. Yeah.
What are the consequences, Jack, if we after in November, once this thing goes live, and then what are the
What is live now?
Oh, it's live now. Yeah. And to be clear,
we're not waiting until November. It's July 1st.
Right. Yeah. The tear down regulations.
Yeah.
Those have been around since 1971.
Yeah.
So this isn't new, right? I know it may sound new, and it's a, and I get it, right? Nobody's, I mean, this was a big aha for me, because what do you mean you don't want to fix your car? I mean, right? So yeah. So this is just to make sure you get paid to put it back together and cover yourself.
Okay.
But yes, if the customer says, no, don't put it back together, I don't want to pay you to do that. Sweet. I don't want to put it back together, right? Your parts are in a box in the trunk. Get the tow truck, take it home. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to read this one. I haven't read it yet. What if the customer tows the car, but we pay? They set it all up. We just paid the bill and added it to RO. We still have to do that. We have had that a couple of times, but not often.
Yeah. So, on June 30th, right? If I paid for a tow to get Rocky's car towed to my shop, I just put the tow charges as a sublet on my repair order, right? So you can't do that anymore. It has to be a separate, BAR says separate document, right? And now I'm going to do it through my point of sale system. It will be a standalone estimate repair order invoice that's going to conform. It doesn't have to conform to bar regulations, Automotive Repair Act, but I'm going to do it that way anyway, because then nobody can say, wait, what? I'm covered. I'm good. And when Rocky picks his car up, it's like, here's your invoice for the repairs we did. Here's your invoice for the towing. And then he can, if you want to do 2 credit cards, 1 credit card, a check, whatever, however you get paid is fine, right? It doesn't matter. It's just, it has to be 2 separate documents.
That actually was one of the questions. So as long as the documents are different, the payments could be the same.
Irrelevant. Yeah. And that's, yeah. Clarifying question. Yes. That you can get paid any way you want.
So Jeff Nutt's asking the tow the tow in regulation of getting tow companies and drive information is a requirement on a separate document.
So the only thing we're required to do now is have the tow on a separate document authorized by the customer, and BAR does not care, right? So, hey, Rocky, it's going to be, here's we're sitting at the bar enjoying a couple of cocktails, and Rocky says, I have my car towed over, and I write on Rocky tows car to shop, $150. Is that cool, Rocky? Rocky says it's cool. Great. Here's your document. Right. And it's ridiculous. I get it. Right. But according to BAR, they don't care. Now, I want to make sure that they don't change their mind. So I'm going to do it as if it is a complying document. It just has to be 1 separate document.
Yeah,
Jeff's waving his hand around. Wait, Jeff.
Well, I think maybe the question was the current regulations deal with when you get a tow, that you have to have, there's certain requirements, making sure you have the identification of the tow truck driver and all that.
Oh yes, all of that applies. Absolutely.
Yeah, that hasn't
Yeah.
changed. Yeah,
Yes.
nothing's changed there. Whatever you were doing
Yes.
before, that's fine. The only
Yes.
thing has changed here, it's got to be on a separate document. So that's the only, it's silly, like we said, but 2 separate documents.
And with that being said, those regulations BAR doesn't care about that either, right? That is not a BAR regulation. That's a law in California, right?
Yeah.
Motor vehicle or what? Yeah,
It's
not
in the vehicle code, and
vehicle code.
Yes,
That's
it is a vehicle code. Yes.
Yeah, right.
It definitely is a vehicle code, and you still have to comply with all that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But BAR doesn't care, right? That
Well,
doesn't.
some other agency will care.
Some other agency cares. Absolutely. I don't know.
Like
I don't know which one
comes in. Well, I mean, like if the CHP, there's a
CHP,
stolen
yeah,
vehicle
yeah.
or whatever, you've got to have that information. Nothing's changed there. So we just want to make sure, we don't want to confuse people. Nothing's changed
Right.
with that
So-
regard.
So I got to pitch in back about the teardown estimate.
Yeah,
If the customer declines to have the repairs
correct.
and say, I'll take it as it is,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to suggest that you should have a statement made that the customer has accepted the vehicle as is, not
Mhm.
put back together. They're taking it and not holding the shop accountable. So basically, you want they agree to that. If we don't
Right.
have that, and I'm saying, Jack, you probably would agree. I need to have a statement they're agreeing to do so. So if I go to court later on and say, wait, I didn't say that. I have a signed note here saying you accepted the vehicle. I put all the parts in the trunk. You just taking it with you.
Yeah.
Yes,
This happens,
and
Jeff,
yeah,
this happens
absolutely.
all the time in
Yep.
collision repair, right? I mean, you're not putting these parts back. So collision repair, if you look at any one of those estimates, the tear down estimates, it'll say there, we can't put your car back together. It's very clear, and you have a number for the tear down. And if the customer doesn't want to proceed after you've created an estimate, they still owe you for that tear down, that part. So I agree with you. In fact, that's part of the law. You've got to have that in there.
Mhm.
If you're not going to put it back together, you got to tell them it's going to come back and disassembled, or you can't assemble it. It's going to come back in a box. Absolutely, that's required by the law.
Yeah, and write it down. Right, it's just in your documentation on your repair invoice. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, so if the multiple tows, can they be on one invoice, or
Yes.
does each
Anything after? So, sorry, I've finished the question. I'm sorry, Rocky.
Sorry, no problem.
My
Or
fault.
does each non-repair tow require separate? I think you said it. The initial tow has to be separate,
Mhm.
and then the rest of the tows can be on the invoice.
Yeah, once you have a properly authorized repair estimate work order going, then anything, sublet tow to the body shop, sublet tow for alignment or calibration or whatever is just that, a sublet tow. I know it's silly. It doesn't make any sense. That's what I said. So, so that needs to be, part. So BAR says, oh, it just has to be part of the sublet, right? And it's like, well, it's going to be separate on my invoice, right, to the customer, because I have a invoice to the calibration company and have an invoice to the tow company. I have two separate invoices. It's going to be separate on my invoice and my point of sale, because that's how I'm going to track it, right? And that's fine, right? But at that point, properly documented, authorized, so on and so forth. And so in the end, you will have two documents, right? The initial tow to the shop on a separate document, everything else on the repair order, work order, or estimate work order invoice.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I hope it answered the question, because the first up front, when the car comes in, very clear. I don't think we have any concerns there. You have a separate document. When the vehicle is in your facility and you're going to sublet it out, okay, BAR has said that sublet is part of a repair, so you can put that sublet in the estimate, okay? Because I was questioning that too, because I said, well, what if we have it towed, right? Are you going to have a third document there, right? That was and then BR kept on, sort of, they couldn't really answer it, but they kept on saying, no, it's a sublet, it's part of a repair. My response was, isn't when the car up front, isn't that really a sublet too? Because the car's coming in for what reason? To diagnose it, right? I mean, it is why we can't, I kept on arguing back and forth or discussing this. So, but they were pretty confident. Now, again, things can change, but on the what I call the second tow, if you're going to have to send it to the dealership or whatever, that would be a sublet on your documentation, on your repair estimate. Just put down sublet to the dealer to, for whatever reason, and the number you want there, right? Whether you drive the car yourself, you have a tech drive it, or you tow it, don't even get into that. Just say, sublet, here's the number, you're done. So I think that should cover it for now. Again, I just want to caution, things can change down the line, but as far as we know, as of today, that's the best. That's the guidance we're giving folks, and it could change, but right now, that's where we're at.
So Scott Brown is asking, do we have to have a bar number on that tow invoice?
No, because it doesn't fall. It's not part of the Automotive Repair Act.
Should you? Yes. Just do it in your point of sale.
Yeah,
if comply with Automotive Repair Act regulations.
Yeah. That separate document does not need to comply with all the laws and regulations. That's the whole point here.
Right.
But your software system, you're probably set up in a way where you can't do that. Now, if you can do that, that's fine too. Just it's got to be a separate document, an invoice, right? You want to get reimbursed and you want to have some documentation there, right? You got authorization. It covers you in case not a BAR issue, but really a civil issue, a small claims court, right? Your customer says, well, you didn't tell me it was going to be $300, and you got into a big argument, and then you got to go to small claims court and all that. So my recommendation is the document, like you normally do, cover yourself, get it all done so you don't have an issue in small claims court.
Keep it separate, yeah?
Absolutely.
So Angie's saying, no, Angie, we answered that question. You could pay with one check to both of the invoices.
How you get paid is up to you.
Yeah.
As far as bar is concerned.
And so Fred's saying, so what if the vehicle is unsafe to drive, but customer insists on driving said vehicle out of the shop? Can you force the customer to have it towed?
No.
We actually pay for the vehicle towed out and out expense if, say, the brakes are metal moved. Do we need to have documentation regardless?
I would document, separate issue. Because, at that point in the game, you better have fully authorized work orders and estimates. But yeah, this, kind of a separate question to these regulations, but yes, if you deem the car is unsafe to drive and the customer is insisting on that, I would insist on me towing it to wherever they want, pay for it if you have to, cover your ass. But that is outside of this. That would be properly documented on the repair order and the work order if they're paying for it, because that's already a repair event that's taking place.
Yeah,
So-
this issue comes, I've gotten some calls on this issue. It is outside of this discussion of BAR regulation, tear down regulations, but customer comes in and they want their tires replaced, right? And the shop goes out, takes a look at the tire. There's metal. I mean, it is bad, right? I mean, he's surprised they haven't blown out yet. And the shop says, yeah, we can replace your tires. It's going to be $1,000. The customer says, I can't afford that. And so now the shop is kind of caught in the middle now, right? Because they don't, they're afraid that because they've already done an estimate, right? They've gone in, they've lifted it up, they've got paperwork, right? They got the liability now, so they're concerned if the customer drives out of there and they get a blowout and get seriously hurt or killed, they're going to be responsible, right? So the question is, what do I do? Well, okay, I've had shops say, you know what? Listen, I'll pay. The shop has volunteered to pay for a tow, right, and to the customer's house. Okay, and they've documented this, and they said, "Hey, we're going to pay for the tow. This is dangerous," highlighted on the paperwork, right? And so if something does happen, again, then you can look at the paperwork and you said, "I advised the customer I was going to pay it. He didn't have to pay anything out of his pocket. I was going to tow it to his house. So if something happens, it covers you." I mean, if a customer, is insistent or whatever, I mean, you can't force them by gunpoint, right? I mean, they're going to take the car. The only thing you can do is, like Dave said, is document the hell out of it. But I would volunteer or at least pay for the tow, take it to their house to protect themselves. So hopefully that answers that question there about unsafe.
Yeah,
So
and that's
with
the takeaway here is you can't prevent them from taking the car.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
So
hold
money-
it hostage. No,
Right.
no, you can't do that.
So Monica is asking, what if the customer has the car towed into the shop? We put it on the customer's invoice, stating tow in customer supplied. Is this okay, or does it need to be a separate invoice?
So
The charge needs to be a separate
No,
invoice. If you-
there's no charge. The
okay.
customer
If there's no charge, that's fine.
It doesn't apply, right?
it doesn't apply.
It doesn't apply.
But you need to put in that it was towed in, and you need to document who towed it in and what time they towed
Absolutely.
it in.
All
Yeah.
of those regulations still are
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
are
right.
part of it. And Monica, that's a great idea, right? You show up Monday morning, a car got towed in over the weekend, right? I do the same thing, right? We note on the repair order, hey, vehicle was towed in, contacted customer, find out what's going on. Here's what we said, here's what they said, here's the authorization. And if or if it shows up, when you're there Monday, right? And some of us are now saying, what are you talking about, Dave and Jack and Rocky, about regulations documenting who towed the car? We're not going to get into that right now. If you have questions on that, we can get into that at another time. Put something on Team Talk and we'll push it out. But you need to conform to those regulations. And if a vehicle is towed in, I always put it, hey, vehicle towed in, right? That we have that on the invoice. So, it's more for my information than anybody else's, but still it's fine. If you're going to charge the customer for it, completely separate invoice. If there's no charge, AAA towed it, do whatever you're doing now. It's fine.
Yeah, nothing's changed there. You're going to just document, you document the car was towed in or whatever on your repair, on your estimate, right? You're going to document that. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. That's just good information for you to know. So everyone knows it got towed in.
Best practices. Yeah, absolutely.
You're not charging, as long as you're not charging, the customer did all this and they had AAA tow or, one of the motor clubs or whatever, then that's fine. You don't need to worry about a separate document then. It's only when you're charging or contracting, and you're going to charge the customer. One of the questions that come up and it's not answered, but it was asking me, what if the charge is free? Okay, so the customer says, can you have my car towed, right? But you're not going to charge. You're going to do it as a free service. You need us to do a separate document. Yes, it's got to be separate. Whether it's free or not, it's got to be a separate document, right? It's
You
free,
contracted
no charge. Whether it's $300 or $100 or no charge, separate document.
Yeah, if you contract it, separate document.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So Jeff is asking, some SMS have a counter sale that could possibly be used for the tow. I personally don't understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, so like if you're going to sell a part over the counter, right? So let's say somebody comes in and you have batteries and they say, I want to buy a battery, and you're just going to sell them a battery, right? You can do that as a counter sale, like at a parts store. So the answer to the question is, it's a separate document. That's fine.
Yeah.
In BAR's eyes, I would say don't, right? I would say do everything in your SMS as if it is conforming to, well, make it conform to, regulations and Automotive Repair Act. But if the BAR says rock on, literally you can write it on a napkin, right? They just want a separate document.
Yeah, you're selling a part there, and battery, whatever you're doing. I don't know if shops do that, but I mean,
Well, some do, yeah.
Dealerships do this. I mean, right? They sell the parts,
Yeah.
obviously, and so that is not part of the Automotive Repair Act. You're not repairing or diagnosing vehicles. You're just selling parts.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine. Obviously, you want to do an invoice and document and pay, taxes and withhold taxes and all that. But yeah, that's a separate transaction. Has nothing to do with the Automotive Repair Act or BAR.
Great. I think we're almost there. Did I miss anybody's questions? I know there were a lot of comments, but did I miss anybody's question? They can open up your microphone if you have it. Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
So I asked if this was tow all in. So say for instance, like if we have advanced charges, we're pulling the vehicle out for a customer. Is that all? I mean, that's technically pre-repair, right? But we're taking out a storage or some storage lot. Is that invoice for the entire amount that we're spending on that tow?
That's a separate transaction, right? The car gets towed in, you got advanced charges, you're forking over some money, right? And sometimes it could be big money, right? Collision repair shops do it all the time, right? When the car comes in, it was stored, it could be a $1,500 bill you got to fork over, right? BR wants to see that as a separate transaction.
The tow as a separate transaction.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a separate invoice.
Stay tuned for storage fees. That's going to be a fun one. Thanks, Steve. Great question. Anything else, Rocky? Yep.
Else? Go ahead,
Sergio's raising his hand.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry I was a little bit late. I was curious, in the first part, did I miss anything in regards to the description on, I know there was an update about descriptions for, on your invoices for the
Yeah,
block?
so I think you're asking about language. It needs to be in a language that a normal person, non-technical, non-professional automotive repair person can understand, right? So no acronyms, no industry jargon, things like R&R, right, or TPS, right, ABS, right, all of those things. You either need to spell it out, or like Jack said, and I have never even seen this, but have a legend on your invoice that they can go, oh, look, R&R means remove and replace, right? Because like Jack said, R&R is rest and relaxation to him. So it's just about clarity. This is another area where the BAR gets a lot of complaints, and I think this is the highest reason the BAR gets complaints is poor communication, right? I believe that almost every automotive repair shop out there just wants to do the right thing. They just don't communicate it well, and that's where discontent takes place. So, right, document, communicate, use regular language that everybody can understand.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you. Jeff, thank you for adding that the code for that section, vehicle code section.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, Sal's got his hand up.
And then who's got?
Sal Garcia.
Go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, along with that, as far as not using the acronyms and everything, I know that you can have, let's say, all your warranty disclaimers. It can be on, let's say, a Google Drive, and you can put the link on the invoice that anyone can access to get that. And can all the acronyms be that way also? It's like, okay, for definitions, go here.
Actually,
No?
so even when you're talking about your warranty, what the warranty you provide, right?
Correct.
No, now you can do that so that everybody can see it, but
Mhm.
and I asked this specifically a couple of private conversation with Bill Thomas, but so Bill is the deputy director of enforcement, so he's the guy.
Mhm.
You need to have your warranty as part of your invoice package, right? So what are you using for
It can't
point of
be a
sale?
link. It can't be a link.
It
You're
can't
right.
be a link.
You
can have a link,
Yeah.
but there has to be documentation with the invoice.
Right, because
Yeah, well, you can. Well, that's what I'm wondering. You can have documents, something there, but of course, you know how you get into, if you put in your full warranty, I know that I remember Rocky in the past was looking, okay, you have pre-printed paper where the whole back page is your your warranty and everything, and then
That's
you put
fine.
the warranty in the front. But instead of going that route, you can have a condensed version on the invoice because you only have so much
Nope.
room, and then a link for more, to expand it on there.
Nope.
That is
You
not allowed
can't
in
do that.
California.
Right.
That is
Yes.
not allowed. And it's actually, I saw it in one of the newsletters that BAR put out. So that is, that is one where shops get tripped up. They think they can do a link because they've got 5 pages of warranty.
Mhm.
Nope. They want you to give 5 pages basically to the customer. That's what they want.
Now, if you email your final invoice
Hmm.
to your customer, right, it can be part of that email package, right? If you provide a printed copy of your invoice to your customer, it needs to be part of the printed package. So the back of the invoice is fine, right? That you're giving them your printed warranty, right? Just like everybody else would have. And you can certainly have a link anywhere you want that says interested in our warranty. Click here, go read about it, right? Because I do all of those, right? I think it's a good idea to advertise your warranty, especially if you're doing a longer than most people do. That's a part of your unique selling proposition, and you should emphasize that. But bottom line is, when the customer leaves with whatever form of document we give them, it has to be part of that package.
So I have a follow-up for Jack. So Jack, is there a restrict, or is there a sort of a font size limit that you can have on a document like that?
On the
Well, I think
warranty.
you got to be able to see it, right? I mean,
Well,
it can't be an angstrom, but
What's really your question, Rocky?
look at the
how
look
small
at
can I
the
print it?
well, wait a second. Look at the vitamin bottles. Can you really read them?
No, but so to answer your question, it
They don't
doesn't
fall
matter,
under the
right?
Automotive
Yeah,
Repair Act.
so oddly enough, in the great state of California, you do not have to provide a warranty,
That's true.
right? So if you don't want to provide a warranty, we have no warranty. You don't have to provide anything. But if you do provide a warranty, you got to stick to it. Now, Jack, I'll ask you to correct me on this, but there's very little, if any, BAR Auto Repair Act information surrounding warranties, but
There are a couple sections
couple
on it.
sections. Okay,
They
okay.
talk about what kind
Yeah.
of conditions you have, exclusions, you got to list them all, right? So there are some requirements you got to meet on the warranty. So
Okay.
if you're going to provide it,
If you provide one, yeah.
if you provide, right, in
Yeah.
the state of California, believe it or not, because I think 99.9% of the shops provide a warranty,
Some
right?
sort of warranty, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
unless they're doing a lot of used stuff, or
Mhm.
sometimes they get involved. Well, I'm going to put some guy brings his parts in. He says, I'm not going to give you a warranty, and that's a whole different can of worms. But
Right.
let's say we're not going to provide a warranty, and they can do that. You don't,
Yes. And if you do provide a warranty and you're doing something that you feel you can't warrant, then disclaim that specific thing, right? It's like,
Yep.
so, you have your regular warranty for whatever you do. If for some reason you're using a used something or other, and the supplier says, no, it's got a 60-day parts only warranty, so that's going to be your warranty to the customer, just note that this part is warranted for 60 days, parts only, no labor, our normal warranty doesn't apply. That's fine, right? But if you don't list that, your normal warranty is going to apply in a court of law.
So as you can tell, we're getting a PhD on this.
hopefully there was enough takeaways here when people go back to their shop tomorrow. They'll say, okay, we got, we don't like it, but this is the law.
Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah.
We went around for 3 hours on this.
Yeah.
I already implemented what Ann
Disclaimer.
provided on
Yeah,
on
the disclaimer.
chat.
Good. Yeah.
I've already put it on there. So
Good.
please do that as soon as possible. And but everybody has to realize that in order to be able to have voice, we have to have a lot of membership or members into this association. So I'm going to emphasize again that everyone here or everyone else out there with the member of this association needs to be busy enrolling and engaging other shop owners to become members. The more we have, the louder our voice is going to be, and the more we're going to be able to make a difference in our own businesses, in our own lives. So we really need to seriously go after this, and the association needs it. We need it. We all, you need it. Let's do it. Let's get the numbers up and on the membership. Dave, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to build on that, Rocky. So, there's approximately 3,500 ARDs, 35,000 or 30 something like that ARDs, currently registered in the great state of California. Somewhat less than 31 of them are here now. So that means slightly less than 35,000 ARDs have no idea what we just talked about tonight, and they are not going to comply. They are not going to conform because they don't know, because nobody's going to tell them. They don't even know what they don't know. So feel free to share this with your non-member friends that might be in your neighborhood. This is not a member-only exclusive thing. And when someone says, oh, well, what does ASCCA do? This is what ASCCA does. If we didn't have the great Jack Maladonoff in Sacramento, we would be a mess. So it's beyond description what happens in the legislature and BAR regulations, that if we didn't have any voice in this, you wouldn't be in business. So ASCCA keeps your shop open, keeps your neighbor shop open who is living in the dark with his head under the hood 22 hours a day. So spread the word, share the wealth. Make sure that you're looking at our website. Things change there all the time. Take advantage of the offers that our great partners supply for our members. Use Jack's half hour a month as needed. Thank Ann and AMG staff for the great work they do and keep us afloat and alive and informed and up to date, because if it wasn't for AMG, we wouldn't be here either, because I don't know how to do this. Rocky, thanks for putting this all together. Jack, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, all of you too.
Training conference. Don't forget training conference coming up. I know a lot of us on the call here are already registered, but if you're not registered, do it. Be great training. It's Burlingame, right near the airport. So Northern California, no reason you can't be there. Technician, service advisor, and owner training. Great presentations, trade show. We'll have some of our partners will be there, so you can converse with them. That's that.
And we're gonna be having. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rocky. We're gonna be having our ASCCA membership drive vendor fair in 2 weeks. Dave's gonna be there for us, and we're gonna be promoting that. That's awesome.
Beautiful Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa.
Beautiful Santa Rosa, California.
Santa Rosa,
the northern chapter.
Right, the northern. Well, not quite. Yeah, you're up there, but not all the way. And the nice thing about going to visit Santa Rosa is you can go to Russian River Brewery and get plenty on tap right there. It's the freshest.
I think there's a regulation.
Line.
You gotta have a different invoice for that.
Definitely.
So
Dave, we'll make it a meeting so we can write it off.
Yeah. Oh no, it's getting written off.
So never ever forget to elevate and unite automotive professionals and give them voice. This is the core purpose of this association. Let's carry it on to its max. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Good seeing you. Take care.
Good night, everyone. Okay.